Welcome to Let's Face the Facts, the rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Join us each week as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show. And now, here's your host of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful David Almeida.
Thank you, Matthew Arter. Welcome back. It's another week, another show. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. This week, we welcome back Ken Reid. Ken does the excellent podcast called TV Guidance Counselor. He's been doing it for, I think, over 8 years now. He just dropped his 500th episode. And he was a big inspiration to me. Listening to his show was really what made me want to do this show. So way back when I first asked him, would you ever want to, be on my show? And he said yes. I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. And then that led to me getting to be on his show in late 2020 and having him back here. And now the fact that he's back for a fourth time, and I kind of consider him a friend. It's just a great, big, awesome thrill. That's all I can say. And Ken is here for a very important and well-known and beloved episode, Season 8, Episode 12, 7 Little Indians. Had an original air date of January 3rd, 1987. Are you ready to jump on in? Let's face the facts with Ken Reid. Ready to start?
Are we ready to start talking about the singular greatest episode of The Facts of Life in all 9 seasons, David? And this surpasses any of the amazing episodes in season 6, like the cruising episode. Oh my God, this is the episode, David.
Well, I'm ready to talk about Season 8, Episode 12, 7 Little Indians. I'm not sure if that's the same episode you're talking about, Matthew.
Of course it is.
But before we get there, welcome back to the show, Ken Reid.
Hello, and I must apologize formally to your listeners for neglecting to mention my appearance on 4th of July week on my year-end in review special. I will blame my kidney stone in November and painkillers. That's what I'll blame. Just like a famous person would.
I was going to bring that up because you talked about how I've heard of people having kidney stones, and God, I hope I never have to experience it. But you said it sent you to the emergency room twice.
Oh yeah. So it feels like, first of all, it feels like someone kicked you in the balls, like that kind of radiating, like kind of pain. And then you get like the worst stomach cramps ever. Like you just ate like Taco Bell out of a dumpster. And then it feels like someone stabbing you in the kidneys with just needles that are on fire. And this is all at once, and then there's no like alleviation, like it's just constant. So the first day I went, they gave me some non-narcotic painkiller because everyone is on opioids in New England, and it just nothing. I was like in agony, so I went back 2 days later, and then I had to have surgery.
Oh, bless.
It was 9 millimeters.
Ooh,
the size of a bullet.
Oh my God.
The fact that, well, at least, I mean, God, surgery is terrible, but when they're like, you just got to pass it. And you're like, oh, I get to send this fucking thing through my dick hole. Okay.
Which isn't the thing that hurts, weirdly. Because it's going from your kidney down the water slide of your ureter into your bladder that hurts because it spasms, and it's also not smooth. It's like a spiky thing scraping. It was bad. But they did put a laser in my pee hole.
Awesome.
I was asleep for it though, so someone saw it.
I don't even think I want to even fantasize about that. It's still too disturbing.
But I mean, that was better than what they used to have to do. So
yeah, true. Very, very true. They used to have to stretch it open and send a nurse in there or something back in the.
I will never understand sounding. I know people are into it, and I just
Is that like people doing that for?
It's when people sticks like metal rods into their
Oh, no.
urethra. And I can't
Oh,
even.
yeah.
But that doesn't happen on this episode.
No, and I had a
No.
stent put in, and then they took the stent out, and that was a whole other thing. That was the single kinkiest experience I've ever had in my life. It felt like murder, which brings us to.
Oh, wonderful. Look at that. A professional, ladies and gentlemen. That is a podcaster who is now in his 9th year of
year
doing
9.
his show. You're in your 9th year of TV guidance counselor. And I still love the show. It is still so much fun. And
thank you for listening. Still.
We are both avid listeners. And back in one of your earlier appearances, this is your 4th on our show, by the way.
Yes, 4-timer.
And it was in an earlier show when I was like, what were some of your favorites? And you said 7 Little Indians. And you said to me, I think I'm going to do that episode on your show, whether you want me to or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was very thrilled to be like, done. It's like, no, you don't have to ask me. You're Ken fucking Reid. You get to do it.
You know who I am.
So this lovely gem of an episode from January 3rd of 1987, first episode for 87, guys. And let me do a little bit of nuts and bolts here just to get the sort of mechanics out of the way before we start talking about the show. The title, of course, is a play on the Agatha Christie play called 10 Little Indians. And actually, 10 Little Indians is the name of the play, and it's sometimes the alternate title of the original novel she wrote called And Then There Were None. And all of these are lyrics from a children's song. And my further research tells me that the original title of it,
it wasn't Indians.
It wasn't Indians. Yeah, it wasn't a bad word for Indians. It was a bad word for another minority group that we won't say. So
what was that?
Are you familiar with the original name of the candies Sugar Baby and Sugar Daddy?
Sugar Baby, Sugar Daddy. Yeah. No. Why? No. Why?
Because it's the same slur.
Yeah.
What
it
is
was called. It was called 10 Little. Okay.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
Wikipedia it.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of The Facts of Life was called 10 Little.
No. The original Agatha Christie novel.
Oh my God.
That she wrote. Upon which this title is based. Keep up, Matthew, for Christ's sake.
I would like us to refer to this as 7 Little Indigenous People.
Yes.
From now on.
That was very common in children's rhymes and songs at the time, like Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Also featuring
Catch a Tiger?
It wasn't a tiger.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that children are less racist nowadays than they were.
It's nice. Yeah.
In the turn of the century or wherever. But as the first episode, January of 87, we had a 2-week break where there was 1 week where they did do a rerun. And the previous week to this one, December 20th of 86, Christmas week, they ran a special. It was a 1-hour special called Christmas Snow. And it was, I guess technically a TV movie, but only an hour long, about a shop owner who is being evicted at Christmas, and she rescues her Scrooge-like landlord from an accident. And it starred Katherine Helmond, Sid Caesar, and it was the first film appearance of a child actress named Melissa Hart, who would later become Melissa Joan Hart.
You mean my good friend Sid Caesar, who I met in 1982? When I was 2 years old.
When you were 2 years, how does a 2-year-old communicate to his parents, I want to go see Sid Caesar live and meet him?
Don't know, but I went to Framingham where he was doing dinner theater. And I have his autograph still. My dad, when he was moving, he's like, I have your dumb Sid Caesar thing. You made us go meet him. And
what'd they take? What was he in? Fucking Love Letters, for Christ's sake?
I don't know. I think he might have just been doing like a comedy musical review. That happened a lot. There was that theater in Framingham. It was there forever. And you know who was always there is Betsy from
Palmer.
Yes, Betsy Palmer.
Oh,
all the time. Yeah.
The Melody Barn.
Something like that. Yeah. And it was someone's name. It was like It was like some foreign guy, like some his like Spanish, like Ricardo Montalban style name. Like it was like Ricardo Montalban's Theater of Stars. It was some kind of thing like that. And I remember I was researching in newspapers 1981 for some reason last year. And the week Friday the 13th came out in theaters, Betsy Palmer was in that in Framingham at that place.
And her life was about to change forever.
Yep.
That wonderful interview that she did years ago where someone is just like, so Friday the 13th, and she was like, I've been in the industry for 26 years and I've made over 40 films. Shame on you. You don't know any of them. Like she sweetly like fucking read him.
Yeah. Do you know why she took that movie?
Needed the movie?
Her car broke down and they paid her exactly what she needed to get a new car. And it was like 3 days. And then Gene Siskel published her personal address because he was so mad. He hated that movie so much. And he told people they should just harass her for being in that movie.
No, I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the equivalent now to somebody adding someone on Twitter.
Yeah.
If you at somebody.
Snitch tagging.
Like,
Yeah.
Bitch.
But back to the sidebar of this little movie called Christmas Snow, which is on YouTube, by the way. I will post it on the webpage. The original book was by Paul Theroux, and he wrote The Mosquito Coast. That's what he is most famous for. The Mosquito Coast, which was a film with Harrison Ford. And as I'm clicking at things, it's also a series right now on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it stars and is executive produced by Justin Theroux. So I'm like, wait a minute. Paul Theroux, Justin Theroux?
Must be his son.
It's his nephew. This dude
okay.
is Justin Theroux's uncle. And so I had to go back and look. Sure enough, Paul Theroux from Medford, Mass, Ken.
There you go. They always are.
Mhm.
They always are.
Yep. And went to UMass Amherst, which is where I went to school, class of 63. That's the uncle. Justin Theroux was raised in DC. He's not a mass hole like we are.
How did he become the premier of Canada?
You're thinking of Justin Trudeau.
Thank you. Yep. You are correct, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Never mind. What? Are we to the point where George Clooney's hanging in a closet yet? Okay.
Yeah. Are we there yet?
I think
No.
he's hanging in a John, as the theme to Good Time says.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a deep cut, deep dive sidebar there on the movie that ran last Saturday night. But this Saturday night now, January the 3rd of 87, we get this episode, Seven Little Indians, written by, to my great surprise, John Boney, Boni.
Yep. Who only wrote 3 episodes of the show, and they were all that season.
Yes. Also including Cupid's Revenge coming up in 5 weeks. And actually, next season is his 3rd one. That's Golden Oldies, the one where they spoof the Golden Girls. That's actually season 9.
Which is a really weird episode as well.
We'll have to have you back for that one.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I was really surprised because there is a writer in the writer's room, Ken, that we've been keeping our eye on called Michael Maurer, Maurer. And we already talked about him because he wrote Come Back to the Truck Stop, Natalie Green, when you were last here.
Mm-hmm.
He would go on to write the weirdest, like we said, he's a cartoon guy. He would write the weirdest episodes like The Candidate, where Blair is in the kangaroo suit.
Yep.
Out of Peekskill Part 1, where Mrs. Garrett has a nightmare funeral sequence. Another Room, where Blair hilariously flies through the wall from the attic, which is next door to the bedroom, and lands on the bed. And the most tame of his episodes was the recent one called Fast Food, where Natalie gave Blair a job at the
Mexican
taco
restaurant, right?
hut, or whatever it was called.
That's still pretty fucking cartoony a little bit.
Yeah, it
wasn't it?
certainly is.
Well, Mr. Maurer is in that writer's room. He is still very much here, along with some of the other writers we've been discussing in the last few weeks. So
he was a story editor on this one as well. This episode had more story editors than they normally have in an episode, which I assume was like punch-up researcher people. They had like 7.
So previous to this episode in The Facts of Life, Mr. Boney wrote for a National Lampoon TV show in 73. Flip Wilson's show in 74. He created a show in 75 called When Things Were Rotten.
Yes.
I
Which
don't
was
remember
executive
this.
produced by, I believe, Mel Brooks.
Oh, okay.
I
That
believe
does
it
sound
was
familiar.
a sitcom set in medieval times, I think.
Okay. Huh. So then he was the head writer for Captain and Tennille, the variety show. He wrote 133 episodes of The Electric Company.
Yep.
I loved that. Was better than Sesame Street. I loved The Electric Company. It's probably the gay thing in Rita Moreno.
I wouldn't say it was better, but I enjoyed it because you had Spider-Man.
Oh, that's true. You did. And Joan Rivers narrating Letterman.
Yep.
Which was clever. Matthew, you scowled when I said I love The Electric Company. Do you have something to say?
No, I scowled when you said it was better than Sesame Street, dude. That's
No. I liked it better. I liked Sesame Street and I appreciate what it was, but as a kid, I enjoyed The Electric Company a little more, particularly as I got older, because Sesame Street can sometimes be for little kids.
Well, you're a huge Morgan Freeman fan.
Yeah. Easy Reader, that's my name.
When I was a kid, my mother used to do like illegal babysitting at my house. I think she had like an illegal daycare.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah, we'd get like we used to get big tubs of teddy bear peanut butter and there was a kid who she would watch who his parents were like, Steven cannot watch The Electric Company. He will go nuts. He hates it. So of course I was like 5. Of course I'd put it on, and this kid would have a meltdown, like a full-on freak out.
Was he a racist? Did he hate the Spanish?
I have no idea what his deal was, but this kid, if you put The Electric Company on, it did not end well.
Wow. Okay,
I was busy watching the new Zoo review. Thank you very much. And nobody remembers that show but me.
Maybe the worst puppet mouths in the business.
Worse than any Sid and Marty Krofft, and that's saying something.
It's like just slightly above Pillow People. Yep. It's like they didn't even cut mouths out. It was a person in the suit just punching the fabric from inside. Like I just picture a guy in there like little gloves on, just like, yeah, this is talking, right?
If you remember the News Review, there are bloopers that are online of like them being very, very filthy with each other.
Yeah,
like,
best,
wonderful,
the best kind of puppet blooper.
Fuck you, Freddie. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and Henrietta Hippo, voiced by Hazel Shermitt, who was the store clerk on The Facts of Life when Joe robbed the. What am I trying to say? Shoplifted the blouse. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Can't find my words. And that same actress she was also Miss Downs, the director of South Pacific, when Tootie got the role of Nellie Forbush, and Natalie was jealous of her. The first one was called Shoplifting. Second was called Green Eyed Monster. So yeah, there's a Facts of Life News Review connection there. But back to John Boney. In the future,
Jesus Christ, we ain't even on scene 1 yet.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No. He also he was the head writer on America Tonight.
Yes.
Which, also Fernwood Tonight, same show, right?
Spin-off of Mary Hartman.
Yeah, he also wrote for the Stockard Channing Show, Flow, Thick of the Night, Kids Incorporated. 5
Kids Incorporated episodes.
That was the week that was. Small Wonder, Another World, the soap opera.
For a while.
I wanted to make sure to throw out there that Mr. Bodie is quite the Renaissance man as far as he's not sticking to any one genre.
No, he did 227. He did,
Billy Connolly's show, General Hospital, 1999 Lassie. And he does have some producing credits, but primarily they are writing credits. And I shouldn't be talking about him in the present tense. Sadly, he passed away in 2019. But what a deeply varied body of work he leaves behind.
Yeah. And the best episode ever of Facts of Life.
And okay, we're going to go with that.
I wonder if Alan Thicke got him the gig.
Oh, because he sang the theme song. That's right.
Thick of the Night.
Makes you wonder. All right, kids. Well, we cannot do a line-by-line synopsis because then it will be me reciting the script, but having to stop for 10 minutes in between each and every line.
Yeah.
So I stopped taking notes about halfway through because I was like, when Joe said, what, Tootie's overacting? I was like, they're doing this podcast for us. So
Oh yeah.
I started thinking that.
This is the most meta episode of Facts of Life, I think.
Very true. Very true. It is so out there. It is such an anomaly among the body of work. They really rarely ventured this far out as far as dream sequences, nightmare sequences, and all that. So instead of asking you, Ken, our guest, to give a TV guide synopsis, instead, I'm going to do a little bit of a broader synopsis, and then let's all go back.
Okay.
And talk about individual stuff, kind of piecemeal, random style. But the episode has Beverly Ann asleep in the dark in a terrible thunderstorm that we see outside the window. And she wakes up and realizes the girls aren't home. And no sooner does she call George to check on the girls and see if they were able to get out of the movie theater okay. We pan across, and there is an actor portraying Rod Serling, not to be confused with Rod Serling, but an amazing Rod Serling impersonator. And we're going to talk about him for quite a bit. And it becomes this meta thing of, is this reality? Is this a dream? Is she still asleep? Well, the girls come home and they were out seeing a slasher film. So they're all spooked, and Tootie doesn't even want to go to sleep. Tootie ends up not staying in her new inner bedroom. She is outside in the Blair and Joe bedroom, and a scream is heard, and Beverly Ann reports to them that Andy has been killed. And then slowly, one at a time, all of the girls are murdered in progressively more broad and cartoonish ways, until at the very end, the killer is revealed to be Blair in a fright wig, because she's trying to eliminate people who are under the 50% tax bracket. Like,
who buy their shoes at the supermarket.
Yeah, it's literally a 1%.
Yeah.
Fuck all of the rest of you motive that is revealed here. And it is just crazy, with it going back to Rod Serling periodically, and the performances are all extra over the top. Clooney is in this, and this is, I think, his penultimate episode.
Yep.
And so we haven't had a lot of Clooney this episode, but he, just like he was in the truck stop episode, he knows the assignment. He gets it, and he is just so freaking dashing and chill, and delivers the jokes beautifully. And that's all I'm going to say about the episode, guys. If you haven't watched it, if you're listening to this podcast, if you watch only a handful of actual episodes, really, you need to see this. There's nothing we can do to fully convey.
No, it must be seen. Clooney's so good in this episode that one of the best jokes he has, Beverly Ann straight man's without you hearing him. He's not even in the joke. It's when she's calling for that. He goes, George, can you go drive by the cinema and see if they're there? And then she goes, yeah, of course I'll pay for gas. I don't think an oil change is necessary. And you can hear him say it.
Yes.
But you don't ever hear him. Like, it's that good.
And Cloris Leachman is that good that she can make us believe George Clooney is saying that on the other end of the phone. She is off the chain this episode. Let's talk Cloris just for a few minutes, as far as hitting just the right level of, I'm still in the sitcom and I'm still playing Beverly Ann. But when she first appears in the doorway, wide-eyed, it's Andy. He's and they're like stuttering. And then she gets an amazing death scene when she drinks the poisoned cocoa, the full-on 2 hands clutching at her throat, flopping her body around the room, running to the piano and playing Beethoven's Fifth to accompany her own death.
High school drama club Shakespearean.
But supported, like she is selling it. And then when she collapses on the couch, and make sure her legs are up on the couch, like she is positioned and poised perfectly. Cloris is she is worth her weight in gold for this particular episode. And we've been really struggling with figuring out
How to
her
use her.
purpose and witnessing the writers struggling with that.
This is when they stop writing her as Mrs. Garrett Light.
Yeah.
She starts to be her own character around the second half of this season, where they kind of decide, oh, she's a weirdo, but a totally different kind of weirdo than Mrs. Garrett. And more aggressive isn't the word, but like they start to make her a different character rather than just like, oh, Mrs. Garrett too. She's not Bub from My Three Sons.
No, no. Yeah, she's so flaky. The thing is, I think we finally kind of try to get rid of the flaky, having her adopt Andy, because that's coming up soon as well. And all that.
She does make an odd suggestion in this episode as a character where she suggests they have hot cocoa to help them sleep. That is not going to help you sleep. That's a lot of sugar. Chocolate's got a lot of caffeine. Hot cocoa is not going to help you sleep.
Oh, maybe the warm milk. Maybe they were trying to draw a thing. But I do have to credit the writing in this, and I don't credit the writing in this show much, and certainly not this season, is they drop the thing of the cocoa at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
When she first exits and we are left with Rod Sperling, she says, cocoa, that's what I need, and goes out. Then later she offers him some cocoa. And then there's even oh, I'm so glad I put the cocoa in this thermos, meaning it's been sitting around where someone could have put something in it.
It keeps hot stuff hot and cold stuff cold. How do it know?
Oh, bless. Let's talk about him, Rod Sperling.
Yes, Maurice LaMarche, who was a Canadian stand-up comic, impressionist. People probably know him best as the Brains voice from Pinky and the Brain. Mm-hmm. But he also was Egon in The Real Ghostbusters. And in Ed Wood, he does the voice of Orson Welles, even though the character is played by Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio could not do an Orson Welles impression, so they had Maurice LaMarche come in and do Orson Welles.
And he had been doing it on Animaniacs, right?
Yeah, because the Brain character is basically an Orson Welles impression.
Oh, is that what it is? I don't see. This is terrible. Maurice LaMarche, he is. I typically can, I'll say so and so had 120 credits over a 40-year career or something like that. Maurice LaMarche has 400 credits, and he is still alive and kicking.
Oh yeah, I've met him.
And my next question was, do you know him? Something tells me you know him or have had an interaction. Maybe you mentioned it in the show.
Yeah, he will be on the show at some point. He said he wanted to do it. But yeah, he's buddies with Dana Gould and all those guys. So one of the times we went and saw Dana doing a live Planet from Outer Space, Maurice was there.
That's right, because he did The Simpsons and their time.
He's like in those top 5 voiceover guys. Like he's in there with Billy West and Frank Welker, Maurice LaMarche. Like there's like 4 or 5 guys, and he's
AC Kasem.
Yep, he's one of those guys.
Well, that's just what I was gonna say. The thing for me is, I understand what a titan he is in the voiceover world. I'm just a little too old that I did not grow up with him the way I'm sure you did. In my place, I was still in the Casey Kasem in Ted Knight doing the announcer voice on Super Friends, and
the Super Friends.
Yeah, Mel Blanc was still working when I was a kid.
Welker was still working. Welker was in all that stuff.
True. Welker was doing Scooby-Doo back then and all that, but it's but no, we still had Dawes Butler and with
George Jessel.
George Jessel, who's the is it Rick Freeze?
Oh, yeah, Paul Freeze.
Paul Freeze from Haunted Mansion. And who is the guy who was the voice of Mr. Ranger on Yogi Bear? And
I can't remember his name.
Don Messick?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, I remembered something. I'm so happy. Yeah. So those are all the guys that were around doing the things when I was a kid. And then, this whole group, Maurice and all of his peers, came in after I was too old to be really watching cartoons. Though I did catch some Animaniacs. That was kind of working on 2 levels.
Around this time, he was on TV quite a few times doing stand-up. So he was on like Evening at the Improv, and like you would see him do stand up. It was mostly impressions.
The Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian special from
Yes.
1984, which is on YouTube, and I will post the video.
Mhm.
And literally, it's him doing all of his impressions, and the thing he ends the act with, his button, is Rod Serling.
Yeah,
That
he
was one of
nailed
his
it.
specialties.
And
Yeah.
no one was really doing Serling at that point.
No. Well, he does joke at one point. They go through the elaborate series of things that cause Andy's death. They say he slipped on this. He fell over as he was inflating something. When he opened his mouth to scream, the rubber cement fell in. And to my delight, talk about a heady joke, Beverly Ann says, "Death by Rube Goldberg." I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Speaking, someone went to college.
And
Holy
then it gets
shit.
better though. Like they make that joke even better with LaMarche.
Where he says, Rube Goldberg.
A name from the past.
Yes, okay.
Probably don't know who that is. And then he goes,
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, you probably don't know who I am, and I don't know who you are. It's really funny.
It was brilliantly written, really and truly.
The reoccurring thing of him enjoying saying Tootie.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I think the fourth time he comes back, all he does, they cut to him and he just goes, Tootie. And then that's it. It's really funny.
Yes. I like saying that. And now here's the thing. You would know this better than I would. The new Twilight Zone was on TV 85 to 88.
Yep.
Was he at all a presence? Did they even
he was
like
dead.
Alfred Hitchcock presents? They would show older clips. They would
colorize. No, they actually had for a bit of time, Burgess Meredith did the just voiceover. There was no on-camera person. And then they had another guy replaced for the later seasons when it went into syndication, but it was Burgess Meredith for a while.
Mm-hmm. Rip Taylor, I think, is who it was.
It was Rip Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes. It was Paul Lint. He would do this monologue at the beginning of each episode.
Submitted for your approval.
Ooh.
The goddamn Jews run Hollywood, those fuckers.
Yeah. So Serling was not a presence, and the last on camera thing he did was Night Gallery.
Yeah. Well,
he died in 75 at the age of 50.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he died very young. Yeah. But
he chain smoked.
He was a workaholic. Like he cranked out, and oh my God, Dana Gould has done such lengthy deep dives about him on his pod, and it is fascinating. I feel like a little bit of a amateur expert, if that's a thing, because of that, and Dana Gould's obsession with Planet of the Apes, which one of the drafts of the screenplay was Rod Serling's, and he just lays it out. And think of it, Planet of the Apes is just a big, long episode of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, oh fuck, it is. Holy shit. And Dana Gould then went on to author the graphic novel version of Serling's draft of the screenplay, and it's marvelous. I really love it.
I do want to mention one of my favorite things is the movie they go see, which as a kid I remember them saying they went to see Ghoulies, but that's actually in a different episode.
Yes, yes.
Ghoulies, but this one it's like it's probably the lamest joke in here is the name of the movie.
Yeah,
it's like
The Halloween Hacker 3, Part 6, A New Beginning, Dave Returns Again.
Which, that's not funny.
No.
But calling the character Dave is really funny because it seems silly, but when you think about Freddy and Jason, like if we didn't associate those names with the characters, they're just like some dude. So like, why wouldn't it just be Dave? Like,
sure.
It's great.
Yeah. And again, Freddy, not Fred or Frederick. Yeah. It's Freddy. Yeah. So the fact it's not David Returns, it's Dave.
No, Dave.
Like,
what's up? It's Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason. Jace, good guy.
Jace.
Blair has a line that I still use to this day. I will work it into conversation. I was so scared my deodorant failed.
Yes. Come on. Yep.
And Blair is setting up the ball on the tee, telling everybody, I'm about to walk away with this fucking episode.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Yes.
There's also an amazing self-referential line where Tootie says, "You're in trouble."
She has not said that, Ken, for at least 3 years, if not 4 or 5.
Yeah. It's great. And Can we talk about Andy and Beverly Ann's galoshes?
Oh, go for it.
Because they're real strange.
Uh,
They're
hmm.
like 80s latex pixie boots.
They were called, children, they were called duck boots, is what they were.
Okay.
And they were pretty popular. They were kind of like the equivalent to moon boots. You remember when moon boots were popular for the kids in snow? Yeah, they were called duck shoes, I think, or something like that.
They're very pointy. They're very DeBarge, actually.
They were LL Bean, actually. So,
but I know the ones you're talking about. But did they make ones like they had here? These are like neon, like she has bright red ones, and okay,
yeah. Like the LL Bean one was like that.
Yeah, see those ones I know.
Yeah,
these
that
ones
is familiar to me. Not these brightly colored. They're very
they had like a little cuff. Yeah, they were like.
Yeah. But it was the 80s, so it's like, here, we can make these in fucking neon blue, bitches.
They looked too feminine for Andy and too young for Beverly Ann. They look wrong on both of them.
I will say I will agree with that statement.
I just watched Andy. They tucked Andy in on that couch the way he was laying, and I remember thinking, remember when you could fall asleep like that and be able to walk when you woke up?
Yeah. It didn't take you a half hour to be like, where the hell am I?
Oh my God. And how did I fall asleep with my neck like that? I'm gonna be stuck like this for the rest of the day.
Right.
Fucking Andy.
No, when George comes in, I don't know if this is now this has to be an on purpose reference. Did you pick up on this reference with George, the Stephen King reference?
No. What did he say?
So this is pre-It, the miniseries and the movies, but George comes in dressed exactly like Georgie from It, and they give him a balloon like Georgie had in It.
Oh, okay. That didn't even occur to me that they gave him the balloon as the device, and
the balloon is what really, because it's oddly specific. Like it's a joke to give him a balloon, but like having him dressed exactly like Georgie in It. In that rain, that's very specific rain slicker with the balloon.
That didn't even occur to me, but you're right. They've got to be like, it's a Stephen King reference. So, wow, ahead of its time, facts of life. Wow.
There's some deep dive obscure references, because there's also when the dice come rolling down the stairs. Did you get that reference?
No. What's
that? So
that's
a reference to the George C. Scott movie, The Changeling, where his kid dies and he keeps seeing this bouncing red ball, this children's ball is like haunting him in this house. And there's a scene where it comes bouncing down the stairs, this red ball, in the same exact way that those red fuzzy dice do. And it has to be a reference to that, because that's such a specific, weird thing.
Yeah. And then later when Natalie is discovered dead with the dice on her head, they all scream, "Oh, craps."
Yes.
I know it wasn't on purpose, but I did laugh that because I loved how many like we're making fun of our own show references there were, like Joe saying what Tootie's overacting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when Natalie goes to put the closed sign on the door and it's always closed.
Yes, it's the same on both sides.
I was like, oh, I guess they're laughing at the fact that their store is never fucking open.
Yes.
No one's ever minding the store.
But I don't think that was the intention of that joke.
But it was funny. Again, that was the more cartoonish. That was, even going the extra step there with almost absurd type of stuff.
Well, then they literally Mickey Mouse the music when that phrase, the phrase Mickey Mousing comes from.
Is that where that is? That
yes,
is
because
that a music term.
When they would have live organists in cartoons, they would every single step would be like bing, bong, bing, bong. So it's like way overdoing, and that's what happens with Tootie when she's walking in, to the point where she actually breaks the fourth wall and references it. Yeah. She's like, I'm trying to sneak up on somebody.
Yeah, would you be quiet? She shouts, "Be quiet, I'm trying to sneak up in here."
Which made me have to, I actually watched the episode twice when I started to notice that, because I realized the person underscoring this should have gotten a fucking Emmy.
Yeah.
True.
Whoever wrote the score for this, because the music becomes a fifth another character of the show, which
True.
just makes it so wonderful, David.
Mhm. I haven't said it explicitly yet, but I'm not sure I can say this is one of my mostest favoriteest episodes of the show. But the thing that I do like about it is that it goes. Remember we talked about in Truck Stop, there were points where it kind of started to go a little to a place, but it didn't go far enough with it. And then out of the blue, when the arm came up with the lighter to light the cigarette that Natalie didn't smoke.
The hell's the poppin' kind of surrealist stuff.
Yeah, all this. The one thing I will say for this is this goes over that line, stays over that line, and can justify it by it completely being a nightmare sequence. Someone is dreaming it. Rod Serling is narrating it. So the good thing is I'm not sitting here going, well, that sign wouldn't have closed on both sides. That would be weird because the store has to be open sometimes, I think, you know.
It's a rare TV sitcom where the entire episode is a dream sequence. And the only other one I can think of is the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Walnuts one.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, he goes to bed and he basically has this dream. It's an invasion of the body snatchers, but they're walnuts. And it's you may have seen the footage of Mary Tyler Moore coming out of this closet on like a sea of walnuts.
Yes, that I've seen.
That whole episode is like a full half-hour dream sequence, and it's the only other sitcom I can think of.
The Golden Girls, when Blanche dreams that her husband is still alive.
Is that Big Daddy?
Her husband, George, and we don't find out that it's the whole episode was a dream. And I think, is that the episode where Dorothy's dating Sonny Bono and Lyle Wagner? I think it is. Yeah, it is the episode where, and like you're watching that throughout the whole thing, and then you're like, oh fuck, it was a dream. Dorothy's not dating Sonny Bono and Lyle Wagner, for Christ's sake. But what about the whole series of Newhart being a dream?
Yeah, but that's a whole thing. Like, you know, this is they at least tell you.
Or the whole season of Dallas was a dream.
Yeah, the whole several seasons.
It's been done.
Yeah, St. Elsewhere. Yeah, but like that's a whole reveal, like the Roseanne Dan's been dead the whole time reveal. Oh. But for like one episode, it's actually, I feel like it's harder to do that. Like the one episode full dream sequence.
I think to compare it to is like the Laverne and Shirley, where they dream that they're old and Laverne is fat, because there's nothing more hilarious than a person in a fat suit. But if you recall, it starts with her dad and Mrs. Babish in the living room watching TV while Laverne and Shirley are asleep in the bedroom. And he is screaming, I want Laverne to get married. I want grandchildren, blah, blah. And then it cuts to Laverne starting to toss and turn in her bed, overhearing this. And then we go into so we see the precipitating event that precedes the nightmare or dream sequence.
The subconscious inciting incident.
Oh, there you, damn. That's why he's the TV guidance counselor, ladies and gentlemen.
We find out Blair has a cell phone.
Blair has a cell phone on a direct line with
Tiffany's.
Yeah. So when she goes upstairs, let's talk about Blair, because Matthew was right. Lisa Whelchel, she shines. When she is allowed to get goofy, she embraces it so wholeheartedly. Even Nancy McKeon, for what a great actress she is. Nancy McKeon's kind of subdued in this.
She's low key in this one. She goes full sarcasm, but Blair, we get the full range, because she's even doing snappy jokes at the beginning that are like kind of subtle comparatively.
Yeah. Another great line when they're talking about how Andy died. Oh, he owed me $6.
Yeah.
And then they go, how did this happen?
Well, he wanted to buy a record.
No, the murder.
We learned that Andy died at least $18 in debt.
Yeah, because he owed George 12. That's right. But when we have Blair goes upstairs to get her cell phone because they can't, because the wire's been cut. And of course it's like, well, who cut the wires? Well, I mean, who would do that? That's when they see Beverly Ann also has the galoshes on and they're wet and it could have been her and dun, dun, dun. So when Blair goes upstairs, that's when Beverly Ann says, but you know, if those dice rolled down the stairs, somebody had to set them in motion. And that's where they all go, is Blair in danger? They all run upstairs, and she is in this fright wig. And I think that's the right word for what it is. I'm sure you've seen the still picture throughout on the message boards. She is just this mane of teased up hair sticking straight out like she's stuck her finger in a light socket.
She looks like the Debbie Harry solo record. I think it's called The Huntress, maybe from 1985 or so. You know, Matthew knows what I'm talking about. And it's like, it's the exact same hair.
It's insane. It is perfectly and comedically, literally standing up. And when they find her, she is frozen with a goofy look on her face. She's like almost like going a little bucktooth. And the whole thing is that, well, what happened? And it was, she was moosed to death, wasn't it?
Because she's stiff.
Because she's stiff, exactly. But she is stiff, holding up the mirror, and they say, well, Blair, she died the way she lived, looking at herself. Well, one thing I did in this episode is when Blair later appears in the store, at this point, everyone is dead. The last two were Joe and Tootie. Tootie leaves, and when she comes back, she finds Joe in the store dead. And then while she is there looking on in horror from behind the counter, we're talking.
Oh, hold on a second. She convinces herself she was the killer first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She's like, must have been me.
Which is, is a really funny scene because she, like, as an actress, she's really excited about it.
Yeah. Multiple personalities. The six faces of Tootie.
Because she's all like, I get to be my Sybil. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, and then it gets, so it's more crushing for her when Blair pops up because now she doesn't even get that.
Yeah. And you hear the voice, and this is literally Lisa Whelchel's ventriloquist voice. When
I was
she does
say, what is that voice she's using?
Yeah, if you've ever seen her do things.
I have.
It's when she does this. And then there was Tootie.
Why does she use that voice here, though?
I have no idea. How did she get this face of clown makeup that was not on her?
Yeah.
And it's so weird and non sequitur, and I love it because we are in the realm where they can get away with that shit. But she stands up from behind the counter now with a crazy face, like back to Stephen King's It. It's like a friggin' clown.
It's like whatever happened to Baby Jane. It's like
it is kind of that. Yeah. And so this is where Blair reveals that she is the murderer. And I did have to go back and say, okay, let's reverse engineer this and see, could Blair actually have been the murderer? And I'm sorry to report, it doesn't all pan out. Some of it works, some of it doesn't.
It's dream logic, man.
Dream logic. And I will give it that. I will give it that. But had the episode somehow pulled it off, I would have been deeply, deeply impressed.
Well, so 2 years before this, there's a 2-part episode of Benson where they're on a boat and a bunch of people get murdered.
Oh.
And the first time I saw it, I was like, this has to be a dream episode, but it's not. There's literally a murderer, and you find out who it is at the thing, but I did the same thing, and it works in that episode, but that's because it actually takes place. Some dude murders like 8 people on this boat.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's bizarre. You do get to see Guillaume take down a murderer.
Well, that's
but also this one, it's even though it's a kind of a throwaway anti-Reagan joke basically about her motivation, like me being the armchair psychologist that I am, I was like, because you're like, oh, it's Tootie's dream.
Yeah.
But then you're like, it's Beverly Ann's dream, and then it ends up being Tootie's dream.
Yeah, dream within a dream, and yeah.
I go, Tootie hates Blair. Because this is what she thinks of her. And it's like this weird, like socioeconomic, like caste, system thing where she really thinks that Blair, in her heart of hearts or subconscious thinks this of her.
Wow. It didn't occur to me to look at it that way, but damn, that's crazy.
Here I am thinking I picked up on something that pointed to Blair as the murderer, because I don't know if you noticed what killed Joe.
What killed Joe was
a giant Mr. Frog.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. That's because they say Joe's been croaked is the pun that they do.
But remember in the fire episode where Mr. Frog
Yes.
Frog. I
doesn't
forgot
have a
about.
face. Say it to his face, Joe. Oh, he doesn't have one.
Oh, that's even scarier. Like a giant burn victim stuffed frog that's coming.
Jeez.
But it was a giant version of Mr. Frog, a dream version, if you will, of Mr. Frog.
Wow. So I do want to point out for those who watched the Daily Motion version of the episode that there is a little bit that is missed, that is cut out from the syndicated version. Did you watch that, or do you have the DVDs, Ken? Right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So they cut the whole scene leading up to George Clooney's death. George has done the bit where he's looking through the house. He's got the balloon on a stick and he goes into Beverly Ann's room and is like, no, and frees the balloon. And they're like, oh, he's dead. And then he comes out saying, gotcha. And then he even turns to the girls before he leaves, just goes, boo, and they scream and all that. So it's like, George is like, okay, the house is clear. So he leaves. So they all kind of go their separate ways to secure the house. And that's where we go to commercial. Well,
Which is the best way to find a murderer, is to go
split
everyone
up.
go off on your own.
Everyone
Yep.
split up. Yep.
Way to go. So then George leaves and then he comes back in and he says, I'm back. Stupid me. I forgot my keys. And he looks at the camera and he goes, oh, hi. Hey, what are you doing? And then the camera starts moving around and moving towards him. We're now in a point of view to, again, something we never see on the Facts of Life and haven't done in this episode. And he's like, but actually George, in his just perfectly deadpan, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're going to murder me. I can
Yes.
tell by the weird music. No. And the camera pans up to the balcony and that's where it goes to commercial.
You know,
Like,
we
why
talk
would
about people not doing Rod Serling. Who does George Clooney? I ask you. That was dead on,
That was a
David.
good Clooney.
You're welcome.
That was a good, especially Clooney from this era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
was
this
a good 85 Clooney.
and this plays his like detachment perfectly. His like you're never in fear for him and anything, and don't believe him as an actual character, which is somehow a benefit. Because it was like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm Clooney,
it's
whatever.
just, oh my God, it's so magnificent.
and you're gonna cut something out of this episode. You cut Clooney footage.
Why? Why would you? Though granted, the other thing is they might have cut Maurice LaMarche, and I can't
true.
get behind that either.
Yeah,
So more with the by the way, Rod Sperling,
Yes.
using that name, Cy Sperling, not only the hair club president, also a
the
client.
client is snapping hair.
That it's true. He started those commercials in '82, so those were very big at the time. So to use the name Sperling was actually very timely. So more of the stuff. While Maurice LaMarche is the special guest on the episode, let's talk about his stuff more. In the first monologue, he starts framing this as being a stew of confusion in a meatloaf of transcendent stuff. I don't even remember the terminology, and for once I didn't actually transcribe it. But because of that, he gets into, this monologue is making me hungry.
Yeah,
And the next time we see him, they pan, and I love that he's there. He's literally there inhabiting their space. So the camera pans away from the counter where they found Andy dead. And he's just sitting at the table, that table that's still there, even though it's not a bakery and they don't serve food anymore. Why the fuck is there a cafe table in over our heads? And he's got that joke thing of it's a hot dog with the bottle of ketchup looking like it's pouring the ketchup on the hot dog,
Yep.
but it's actually a statue where the ketchup is suspended in
which
midair.
were huge at this time. I wanted
Oh.
one so badly at this time.
Yeah. It was like the presentable version of fake vomit.
Why did, like, as a kid in the 80s, they seemed like the coolest thing ever. And I ended up getting one eventually that's like a Coke being poured.
Yeah, the
into
Coke can that's spilled. Yeah,
yeah.
Totally seen it. Yeah.
They had the
And-
Coke. Yeah, it was great.
But
Fake
so
food.
it cuts back to him sitting at the table holding the ketchup bottle. So it looks like he's pouring the ketchup, and he gets the laugh out of, he says a statement and takes his hand away. And then on the same plate is an actual or a prop burger that he does bite into at the end.
But right before he takes the bite, he puts it down and goes, Tootie. And then
Tootie.
takes the bite. It's perfect, Perfect callback timing.
Yeah. And of all the stuff that he does, when we finally get to the end of it, he just says, fact or fiction, I don't know, but I leave you with this one thought, Tootie. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's beautifully done. And the music, we were talking about when that final pan away from him over to Beverly Ann cradling Tootie, who is sobbing, or actually she's kind of catatonic, isn't she?
Which is like legitimately kind of disturbing.
It is. And the music punctuates this with this big bum, 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 bah. And then when we go to the end credits is just more of the underscore music. They just rehashed some of that. And it does feel like it was made for the episode. It doesn't feel like this was...
They're not needle drops. I think they're written for the episode because I don't recognize it from anywhere else.
Yeah. So I'm with you there. And then when we get to the Tootie walking and the music underscoring her actual footsteps, that's where I was like, yeah, this is really good. And it's just, synthesize-y, cheesy enough. It's like, yeah, we know you didn't hire a friggin' orchestra. We know it's a dude and a couple of keyboards. And
I'm curious. I suspect this episode, and you know what? This will sound ridiculous, but I want to ask Paul Provenza because he was the warm-up comic for till he was on the show. I feel like this episode did not have a live audience.
I agree with you. It does feel it does sound a little piped in, and it could have been done in front of an audience, but
something about it that feels like it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Totally agree with that. Yes.
It says here, I feel like we should give him a little credit. It says here that the credit for composer for this episode is Ray Colcord, who had an amazing career, apparently.
Yes.
Doing scoring for TV shows and stuff. He's responsible for getting Aerosmith signed to Columbia Records, their first record deal, and co-produced their second album. Emmy nominated for
Boy Meets World he did.
Yeah.
227, My Two Dads, Dinosaurs, Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote You Can Count on Me, that Greg Evigan sings as the theme to My Two Dads.
Oh, bless.
He played keyboards on Lou Reed's live Rock and Roll Animal album and keyboards on American Pie by Don McLean.
Wow.
He did compose 2 horror movies that the music is very similar to. One was called The Demonsville Terror, which is from the early 80s. And then he did one of the Amityville sequels, The Amityville Dollhouse, Evil Never Dies.
Oh.
Part 6, Return of Dave.
That's right. and he did the music for Julie Brown, regular Julie Brown's Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun.
As in composed it, or?
Yes.
Shut
he
up.
wrote the lyrics, but he wrote the music.
Thanks for looking him up, guys, because it doesn't even occur to me to look that up. Typically, because we know the music is do 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 do.
Yes.
What else do we have to say here? I don't have anything else.
To this day, whenever I find out that somebody died, I think dippity dude.
Yes.
They still make dippity doo, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's still a thing out there. Yeah.
It's like
Brill cream.
It's like, what's that shit that old ladies buy, the powder and the chantilly?
Oh yes,
it's
yes. It's like I don't know if they still make it. They just made so much of it in one year that it's still around.
Yeah. You can find it right next to the Jean Nate Body Splash gift
Yes.
pop.
Yes. 70s Art Nouveau revival.
Kenny, I'm so glad you did this episode because you add so much insight that, things that you notice that, I would never even thought of, like the It reference and stuff like that. You're absolutely
I'm the
right.
horror movie nerd.
What other episodes coming up are do you fancy, as we're looking ahead to schedule what other over our heads episodes?
I got to do a Pippa.
You got to
'cause
do
I
a
was in
Pippa.
absolute love with Pippa.
Oh, okay.
Possibly the one where she has the band that Tuesday Night is in
Okay.
with her, who's in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and does the theme song.
Okay.
That's a great one. I think it's the season after this.
Yeah.
The Natalie spinoff backdoor pilot one with Richard Grieco.
Big Apple Blues.
Yes. That is a classic. The Blair gets in a car wreck and is ugly now episode.
Oh my God. And then the next episode looks perfectly normal.
Perfectly
Nothing
normal.
is said.
Yeah. And that episode's like full drama. And she has that scene, we can talk about it when we do it, but which it's all like, give me a mirror. Mirror. It's like
mirror.
Johnny
then
Handsome.
smashes it. It's like, oh my God.
It's like the Joker.
Oh my God. And she's permanently disfigured next week. Oh, hey, anybody want to stick a juicy fruit?
Dr. Doom.
Dorothy only had chronic fatigue syndrome for 2 episodes on the Golden Girls. So that is full 80s sitcom.
Full 80s sitcom. Like Dorothy coming in and saying, they're having auditions for Jeopardy. It's my favorite show. I watch it every night. Do you?
But not with anyone. On my own. Oh, and then the It's a Wonderful Life take.
Beverly Ann.
Beverly Ann, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be best to have you back for a Pippa episode because interesting to hear somebody have a positive opinion about.
Little
Pippa.
Sherry Kren, who's now Sherry Austin, the country music star, lives in Tennessee. She's very nice. Does country music still.
I'm sure she's lovely. I'm sure Robbie Wrist is lovely. He ruined Brady Bunch.
That poor guy. I've had him on the show. Poor Robbie Wrist.
You have? I remember that one. Yeah. And even he is like, I'm a 9-year-old kid. How does a 9-year-old kid ruin a show of 5 years in 10 episodes?
A job for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, Robbie Wrist did voiceover on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Maurice LaMarche.
Oprah full circle moment.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And we won't even get into Big John, Little John, which starred Robbie Wrist and the wonderful Herb Edelman, who played Stan Zbornak on The Golden Girls.
That is a weird show.
Isn't it, though?
Weird show. Have you seen My Demon Lover with Scott Valentine? He turns into a Pizzazzi when he gets horny.
It does sound like a movie I've seen, but
it's New Line Cinema, and basically they went, look, Teen Wolf's huge. Maybe we do a movie where a guy turns into something. We get someone from Family Ties, and we do it. And I had Scott on the show. We talk about it, and he's like, "I don't know what the hell that was. The Pizzazzi. What the hell was that?" But he gets this like Greek curse on him called the Pizzazzi, where he turns into a demon when he's horny. But the lead female in it is the blonde girl from the Big Apple Natalie Green episode, it's like the only other thing she was in. But it's very much worth watching. It is an insane movie.
We were just talking about Scott Valentine. We were recording next week's show last night, and they're turning hard into the whole Natalie is dating Snake now.
Yes.
So there are references to Snake in pretty much every episode the last 5 weeks and going forward. But I don't know that they ever intended for us to meet him. It seems like they wanted him to be an Alan Brady or a Maris Crane or whatever. And as they're drawing the picture of him, it's like, oh, you mean the guy that lays the tar with the road crew? You want to get him a bracelet? Yeah, go with his earring.
It's Nick. And then we get Damone.
Robert Romanus instead.
Yeah.
And I'm
from
like,
Providence.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he used to own a coffee shop in LA, and he'd just be in there all the time.
What else did he have to do?
Yeah.
But I was like, I felt like they were more setting us up that we were going to get like Nick from Family Ties, like a Scott Valentine. And what a nice guy he was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a guy that he told the story on the air where him and his buddy knocked out Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
And then he's like, I'm not doing this business anymore. This is bullshit.
But yeah, well, that's what we enjoy, are these great personable interviews with people we wouldn't normally hear from on the magnificent podcast TV Guidance Counselor starring Ken Reid.
Thank you very much. Got some good episodes coming up.
And you've done some cons lately where you've been able to get some live interviews. You started to venture back out into the real world, right?
I did once. Yeah, before, like in that little window before Omicron.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess
Who
I'll go
can
back out
remember?
again. Yeah, so I did a local con. Yeah, I did some interviews there. I may be doing it again next month. I think I have Cherie Curry and a few other people that might be on if I do that again. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I went out for
And-
that con, and then in December I did stand up for the first time since March.
Oh, how did that go?
It was good. So like Todd Barry and I usually end up going out for about a week every December, or have for like the last 10 years, and we had in a couple of years. So we did 2 shows, one in Vermont and one in Woodstock, New York, and it was weird. It was fine. Like my set was fine. I actually went up and just talked about my kidney stone basically and why I actually like wearing a mask.
Hey,
well.
that's the great thing I think about comedic actors and comedians like yourself, where when something bizarre happens, we do think to ourselves, this is going to make a great story.
Yeah, it's worth it.
If I survive this, it's going to be a great story.
But it was weird. It was weird. Like everyone has a mask on. You had to be vaccinated. There's a weird phenomenon that I've discovered from all my friends who are in bands and do stand up and stuff, that every live show, about 20 to 30% of the people who buy tickets just don't come. So that happens, and it was fine, but I wasn't like, I'm not super eager to get back out again.
Yeah. Well, Ken, thank you so much for doing this again. It's always thrilling to have you on my Zoom screen and to hear your voice. I listen to you every week anyway, but when I hear your voice and it's actually talking to me personally, it's still really, really thrilling. And you add so much. We love it. And I can't wait for you to come back on the show again.
Yeah, I'd love being here, and I will not forget this episode. I'm putting in my calendar so when I go through.
We expect to be mentioned in the 2022 wrap-up.
And Matthew still has to guest.
Oh my God! Not Matthew. You definitely need Carol Lee, she's got much better stories.
You need him the drag persona. Carol Lee.
No, well, how about we do both? See, like you both pick, and then see if you match. We'll figure something out.
How tall are you, Ken?
6'3".
Son of a bitch. Okay. I didn't know.
What were you gonna guess?
No, I was hoping that was not where it was.
I'm 5'1".
No, he is standing up right now. He's not even sitting. Well, Ken Reid, until next time, thank you again a bazillion times over. Smooches and goodbye. Mwah.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And there you have it. That was Ken Reid. Oh, just, isn't he the best guest? I mean, really, he's the best. Anyway, next week we're going to be watching Season 8, Episode 13, called The Greek Connection. You can watch the show ahead of time for free at dailymotion.com. I will post the link in the show notes and on this episode's webpage. That is all for now. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you.
Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by the wonderful David Almeida. Our theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Please visit FaceTheFactsPod.com for supplemental photos and videos, links to social media, and ways that you can support the show. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This is Matthew Arder saying tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.